I guess with about 9 days here until your first game, it's weird to think about. But how comfortable or confident are you with where this group is right now?
Well, I feel good about where we are right now. Obviously, we have a long way to go, but our guys have had great attitudes. We've worked really hard. We've been relatively, knock on wood, we've been relatively healthy, which is a big thing. We're anxious to play someone else, so we'll have a chance to do that on Wednesday against Slippery Rock, and then really start to turn our attention to getting prepared for Florida State.
Saw Justin working out here as I walked in. How's he doing? And
he's doing good. He's doing well. It's it's a mental hurdle right now, and then getting back in shape. He had about 3 weeks where he really didn't do anything, where we were waiting to find out the prognosis of his injury, and so 3 weeks of not doing anything, you're set back, especially as a freshman. But he's getting there. We need him, and he's starting to get back in shape. We're doing a lot of extra stuff with him, and we need him out there.
Is he gonna be able to play against Florida State or two?
He should be. I don't see any reason. He's doing everything. He's practicing full speed now, so he's been doing that for probably a couple of weeks now.
Will he play on Wednesday? Are you guys gonna kind of hold him back as a precaution?
Nah, he'll play.
Jeff, what was the final prognosis of that injury? I know it's kind of in flux. We're seeking multiple opinions.
Yeah, I think the final was like a knee sprain, but initially we thought it was a torn ACL. That's when it happened, the day that it happened, I actually happened to be there, and I thought for sure that's what it was. And it was, I don't remember the exact date, but it was the date of the Coaches versus Cancer event over at Heinz Field. And I thought for sure that's what it was. After getting some information from doctors that night, we thought that, okay, there's maybe a chance that it's not. Maybe it's partial. And then that's why they wanted to do the protocol like they normally do for a torn ACL, where you wait 3 weeks, you allow the swelling to go down, and then you re-examine it. But you do something they said it's called, it's kind of prehab before the surgery. So we did all of that, and then it wasn't. We found out that it wasn't, and he was able to go. And so again, mentally, when I say mentally for him, you think your season's over with. And then 3.5 weeks later, you're told, okay, you're good. Go back out there and play and go full speed. And so it's just a mental hurdle that he's having to get over right now.
Now that he is healthy and available for you guys, what do you think he adds to this team? I mean, it's obviously early. You haven't played a game yet. But
Well, he played really well over in Italy. He gives us a different type of athlete. He gives us, a bigger guy that's a little bit more versatile. He can make a shot, which is something that's important. He's competitive. He can do some different things defensively because of his length and his athleticism and his size. And then rebounding. Rebounding is a major area for us, and so it's somebody that could assist us there.
What do you feel like you learned from seeing your team out there against Maryland? And I don't know how much you can tell us about it, but maybe some broad takeaways.
Well, first and foremost, they're really good. Really, really good. But we wanted that. We wanted to schedule, to do a scrimmage that way because our first opponent's really good. It's Florida State, as you guys know that cover us and cover this league. It's a different type of athlete when you play them. They're long, they're big, and so we wanted to play someone in the scrimmage that we thought was similar. As far as the length and athleticism, I certainly hope Florida State's not as good as Maryland. But we did some good things, but one of the major areas is rebounding. That's what we have to do. I thought we were a little bit nervous early in the game and against Maryland, but I thought once we settled in, I thought we did some really good stuff. I thought we scored the ball a little bit better than I maybe thought we would be able to. But we have to defend better, and mainly we have to defensive rebound better.
From a rebounding standpoint, Jeff, I mean, how similar is it going to be to last season when we talked about gang rebounding and rebounding as a team alive? Or do you feel like, with a guy like Eric in here now, do you feel like there's more of a proven or reliable rebounder on this?
I still don't think we have that. I mean, I'd love to be proven wrong, but as of right now, it's going to be gang rebounding. At times we can be a little bit bigger this year than we were last year, but at times it'll look similar. We'll go with 4 guards and, a bigger guy. I'm not saying a big guy, maybe a bigger guy. And so it's going to be really important for us. Our guards have to get down there. We have to block out. We have to do the dirty work. But Eric, Terrell, Kareem, hopefully we'll be able to get Kenna back at some point this year. Anyone that's out there is going to have to rebound for us.
On that front, how does it help having a couple of guys like Gerald and Justin come in that are kind of guard wing players, but they're pretty big. They're bigger guys that maybe could help with the physical toll that your freshmen kind of took last year.
Yeah, well, they have to, absolutely. Those guys have done a good job for us. Gerald actually led us in rebounding against Maryland. I don't know if that's a good thing. It was good for him, but we need to have multiple guys, kind of where he was. So certainly having Gerald, having Justin, those guys being able, with these being a year older, but Trey and Xavier got to get down there and they have to do that stuff. And then our bigger guys, they have to, that's where we need them to be a presence. We don't necessarily need them to be a presence scoring. We need them to be a presence with protecting our basket and rebounding the basketball. If they do that, they'll score, just off of the penetration and things from the perimeter guys. But we really need them to do that at a high level.
When you do start the season against a conference opponent like this, does that ratchet up the intensity, or do you change anything about your prep as you head into the opener?
We do change. Normally, the first game is not against an opponent usually with that type of size, athleticism, sometimes talent. And so it certainly will change. Our preparation for it will change. Some of the things that we do, especially as a conference game, so some of the things you have in at this time. It's also part of the reason why we scheduled the Italy trip. All of it was in preparation, hopefully to have us a little bit more advanced with 2 conference games before Christmas.
Going back to what you were saying about your big men, you got a little bit more depth this year. How are you going to kind of mix those lineups, and how are you going to use that depth this season? Yeah,
well, we'll see. I mean, guys have to earn it. We certainly have, I think, more quality depth this year. We have 4 guys back and 5, if Ken is able to make it back, that played significant minutes for us, and so they know us, they know me, they know my staff, they kind of know what to expect. And so, in pieces we have it where some of those guys can teach the younger guys, where last year no one could do that. And so that certainly helps. And again, we'll see what different lineups, we can put out there. I mean, we could be a lot bigger than we were at different times last year, and that may be something that we do. Maybe we do it a lot. We're still in the mode of trying to figure that out right now.
Over these past 7 or 8 months, Jeff, have you noticed him evolve as a leader? We had talked to him a little bit about it earlier, but I was curious from your perspective as his coach.
Well, one of the things is that he talks more. Last year Xavier did not talk, and so he's a lot more vocal now than he was last year. I think he knows us, and he knows what we as a coaching staff want, and so he's able to articulate that at times in practice. With his teammates, he's a little bit more. He's a lot more vocal in huddles, which is really, really good. I mean, that's growth, and that's something that you want, from those guys. Trey the same way, both of those guys have really matured in that way.
With X, is that something that's particularly important to have in a point guard?
Yeah, it's vital. I mean, if you look at all the really good point guards, that's the one thing they have in common. They could be very different as far as size and athleticism and style of play, but normally the really good ones, they talk. And it's not just talk, you command. And so that's the next part of his growth, is to do that. Now, in order to do it, you have to be on all the time. You can't do it if you're not doing it. So you can't talk, you can't say these things. And so it's a different type of responsibility, but it's one that a really good player should want. And if you want to be a really good player, then you have to understand the responsibility that comes along with it.
I think a lot of us might assume that would just naturally come with time. But Xavier said this summer, I think, went to a couple symposiums or leadership conferences. Is that part of a player's development as well sometimes, and especially in a point guard like him, that maybe go out of your way to help him develop that
Yeah,
leadership?
well, we're always trying to do that with all of our guys. He was afforded some opportunities because of he's good.
Mm-hmm.
And so, he got invited to some things and he took advantage of it. And I like the fact that not only did he take advantage of going, but of, being present while he was there and really trying to learn and taking something from these opportunities. That's what you want all these kids to do, is to try to learn from every situation. And I think he's done that. I think he's a guy still with us as a coaching staff. He doesn't talk much with us.
Mm-hmm.
And so at times he can be hard to read, but he's always watching and paying attention, and he's absorbing. He's just not articulating it with us. Now, I'll hear him in a huddle and he's saying some things that we've talked about. So that's how I know he's getting it. He understands it.
Jeff, what if anything becomes easier for you and your staff in year 2 as opposed to year 1?
I don't know if anything's easier. I think it's, maybe there's a comfort level that's different from this time last year because it's not as new. We have a better feel of our team because we've actually coached some of these guys. The new guys are guys that we have a relationship with. We had a relationship with during the recruiting process, some for a year. And so I think it's a little bit more comfortable, but certainly not easy. I don't think any of these jobs are easy. I don't care if you have a whole team coming back and you were a Final Four team. None of it's easy. But I like the direction that we're headed in, and I like this group that we have right now. I've loved their spirit. I've loved how they've worked, how they've tried to attack and get better each day. And hopefully we can continue to do that. We know that it's going to be some adverse times. I mean, I understand that. I think we understand that, but we have to, stick together and keep fighting and understand, we're continuing to take the necessary steps, and we just have to make sure those steps are forward.
Does that comfort level allow you to take the instruction up a notch, to drill down a little bit more?
Well, I think we always do that. I don't need comfort level to be able to do that. So we're always trying to correct, and it's constructive criticism. I'm a big believer, if you really care about someone, then you tell them the truth all the time. And one of the things we talk to these guys about and recruits about is that, our sport's different because you don't have these lulls in between. In football, 40 seconds between each play, and you can go back and huddle and talk briefly and things. In baseball, I don't know how much time between a pitch, but you can do, like ours is, you're constantly moving. And so you have to be able to absorb the truth in real time. And so if I'm telling someone like, hey, you're really good, that guy can't guard you, you're playing great, they love to hear that. But if you're like, hey man, you stink right now, like you got to get your head out of your butt, that's the truth in that moment. It's not personal. It's never personal. It's us as a coaching staff trying to get you out of it. But you have to trust. I'm telling you the truth in that moment. Like, you are playing like crap right now. And so you need to know that. And so I've never had an issue with that. I've never, when I played, I didn't have an issue. That's one of the reasons I picked the place where I went, because I grew up with a father like that, and so I've never had I don't need to be comfortable to do that.
Yeah, Jeff, I was curious, have you all applied for any kind of a waiver for
No.
for Horton? No. Was there
No.
any temptation to just seeing?
No,
Okay.
it wasn't.
Jeff, we're here in new press conference room. There's been a bunch of changes to the Pete. I know some of those plans had probably predated you being here, but what's it been, I guess, the reaction from your team and maybe on the recruiting trail about the changes that you've seen in the building, and how excited are you for the fans to be able to see it?
Well, what they've done in this building, especially in the main area, has been tremendous. Obviously, the color change, and I think the court flip was. I know the color change was already in the plans. I think the court flip had maybe been talked about. But when you look at the new video board, you look at the new video boards in the end zone. Obviously, the color pops now. I think it's been unbelievable, and you know what we've been able to do with our locker room and that lounge area. We still have some things that we're working on that hopefully we can get done really soon that I think will enhance it even more.
I figured that this room's probably a little bit closer to your office too, or at least an easier walk, right?
Yeah, it's fine. Have to come up with the elevator.
You still got to talk to you guys. Can't be that good. I mean, that was understood. But,
This room is cool. It's really nice. I mean, it's a major upgrade.
is the video room? I guess it's kind of still in the works, like where the old media room was.
Yeah, it's hopefully it'll be done soon. I mean, we play in 9 days, so it'd be nice to be able to do that. But I don't think it'll be done by then. But they're making progress. It's never fast enough for me, but I'm sure the fans think that too.